Hey guys. Well, welcome back to my channel. First off, how are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. I am, of course, sitting inside my truck. No, I have not decided what I'm going to do with it yet. And I'm really, honestly, I'm not worried about that. Next week, I'm going to be testing for the road test again in the automatic this time. Today was my second day that I was at school practicing driving in the automatic, and it's a little different. It's easier for sure than driving the manual, but it's a little different. I don't know if it's because the truck that we have is a little bit older, but she's a little slow. And the only thing that I have to remember on test day is that I have to make sure that I'm under speed, that I'm doing the speed limit or staying a little bit under it. Because if you go over, it's an automatic fail. It's an automatic fail again. So if you go over the speed limit, even by 1 mile per hour, it's an automatic fail. So I have to be conscious of my speed when I'm going down different streets, and when I'm on the expressway, I have to be conscious of my speed, because I'm not shifting. So it's a big difference when you have to shift and when you don't have to shift, because the truck is doing the shifting up and down for you. And so I'm just driving a lot of times. I'm just driving and I'm really not paying attention to my speed. So I have to be conscious of that. I have to remember that. And then the instructor that's been with me these last 2 times, because I've only been in the automatic twice now, he said to me, make sure you start slowing down sooner, because I'm not in the manual. Again, my mind is kind of concentrated on how I've been doing things up until this point in the manual. So I have to switch my thinking that I'm in a different vehicle and just start braking a little sooner. Anyway, that's not what I came on here for. Well, yes and no. I was thinking, I was just sitting in the house a few minutes ago. I just came back from the grocery store not long ago. And I was thinking on today's events and how things just kind of played out. I went to school as usual. I got in the truck, did my course, had a nice little conversation with the instructor that I was with. And this wasn't my normal instructor that I normally go out with. This is the one that usually works with everybody in the yard on the pre-trip and the skills. Well, he's been going out with me these last 2 times instead of the guy that I was riding with in the manual. I don't know if it's because the guy that was working with me on the manual doesn't like the automatic. I don't know what the case is, but they've got me riding with this other guy, which is fine. And so had a nice little conversation with him as I was driving. I was very relaxed, really focused on, doing the route. And then he said to me, before you leave today, Jim wants to see you. And I said, okay. I kind of figured Jim wanted to talk to me anyway, because I had been talking to Jim prior to, because we still hadn't confirmed a test date, when exactly I was going to be testing. And so he said that he was going to talk with the guy and that he would have a date for me. So since this was my next appointment to practice in the automatic, I assumed that that's what it was about. He was giving me a test date, which it was. And so he said to me that because I had already gone to the DMV to pay the $50, to get the next 3 opportunities to test. But when I got there, they told me, because I had failed the test 3 times, that I was locked out of the system couldn't pay the $50 until the 18th of this month. So I told Jim that. And so when I went to see Jim today, he was like, two things. He was like, when you told me that about when you went to the DMV and they told you you couldn't pay until the 18th, he said, I thought that was a little weird. You should have been able to just pay in advance and then, retest whenever the tester was available. I'm like, well, that's what they told me. So he was like, well, I talked to the examiner that you're going to examine with. And he was like, if you go to the DMV today, he will be there. He was like, ask for him by name. That way he gets an opportunity to meet you beforehand. And he will put you through. So you can go ahead and pay for it now. And then he's going to be here on the 18th and test you that morning. So I said, okay. So, because this vehicle is down, I've been taking an Uber to get to places that I need to get to. And not very often. One of the positive things about the timing of this car situation is that I really don't have anywhere that I need to be right now. So my truck being down is inconvenient, but it's not hurting me that much. I really don't have anywhere that I really need to be. The last time I went to the DMV, my landlord took me there because he knew the situation with my truck and he just happened to be here. I think I told you guys that I don't own this house. I rent it. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, ranch home. And it has an office, but I rent this. I don't own it. And so my landlord is here on occasion because I think I showed you guys my backyard, the garage in the back. There's a garage here right behind me, and there's a 2-car garage in the back. That 2-car garage in the back, he utilizes that for his tools. He has about 17 properties, all kind of centrally located in this area. And this house sits in between all of his property. So whenever he has to do maintenance, repairs, or whatever at a property, he can come here and then just go to the property or properties that he needs to do work at. So he keeps the majority of his tools here in that garage. And so he just happened to be here that day that I needed to go to the DMV, so he took me. Now, the thing about that, and the thing about today, and I'm going to get to that, is that, and it's a long story and I'm not going to get into it, but me and my landlord had been on the outs for quite a number of years. And it wasn't necessarily anything that I had done, but when money is involved, people will show you their true colors. And so it was a money issue, and he just did a complete 180 on me. I mean, we were real cool in the beginning. The first couple of years that I was here, we were real cool. But then I ran into some financial issues and I kind of got behind on the rent. And his whole personality just changed, just flipped. And like I said, I hadn't done anything to this guy. I hadn't done anything to him, and I was doing everything I could to get him the money that he needed. But yeah, he just showed all of his behind and then some. And through all of that, talking with some of my friends, few people that knew about my situation, they were like, oh, I would take him to court. Oh, I would sue him. I would do this. I would do that. And, I could have done those things. I could have reported him to the city about a few things that I know about. I could have done a whole lot of things. But that wasn't, number one, that's not my character. It's not my way. I mean, it's not my way. Like I said, I knew I wasn't at fault. I knew I wasn't in the wrong in a lot of the situations that arose. And I'm not a vindictive person. I'm not a out to get you kind of person. I'm not a revenge kind of person. Even though other people may try to be that way towards me, that's not my MO. I don't operate like that. That's not the kind of thinking that comes to me. And again, I know who my father is. I know who has my back, who's constantly watching over me, who always provides and always makes a way. So I don't need to be mean and nasty and vindictive and hateful and just all of those things towards people. So while I appreciated the comments and the input and the advice of my friends, that wasn't how I was feeling led to go with this situation. It wasn't that I wasn't ignoring it. And yes, I keep all kinds of evidence. I kept all kind of documentation, all kinds of pictures and videos. I have all of that stuff. So if ever I need to take him to court, I have all of that. But at the same time, I didn't feel a need to go there. And so all these years later, these last few years, as a matter of fact, he's done another 180. But it's back in the direction of him trying to be on my good side, him being helpful and all of these things. And I was thinking about that today, because when I was leaving school, after Jim had told me to go to the DMV, when I was leaving for school this morning, I saw his car in the driveway in the back. And so I was like, oh, he's here. And so I was in the Uber when it pulled off. I don't even think he knew I was here or not. So I took an Uber there. When Jim told me I needed to get to the DMV, I thought about him and I was like, okay, if he's still at the house, I'll ask him, can he take me to the DMV? And then I said, let me just call him. Let me text him. Let me call him. And he responded to me and he said, no, he wasn't there, but his car was there. And so he was like, do you need another ride? And I was like, yeah, I need to get back to the DMV. And so he was like, he gave me the code. He gave me the code to get in to where the key was. And he was like, just take my car. I was shocked. I was shocked. So I took his car and I went to the DMV, and I figured while I had his car, because he told me he would be back at around 1. Now, when I talked to him, it was probably 9 a.m. So went to the DMV, took care of that, and I was like, okay, while I have the car, let me just stop and pick up a couple of groceries while I'm out. Pick up a few things that I need while I have access to a vehicle. So I was able to do that. And would you believe that everything that I purchased was on sale. Everything that I needed and everything that I purchased was on sale. So I didn't have to spend a whole lot of money on groceries, because these prices are ridiculous. So I thank God for that. And so I put gas in his tank, even though I didn't drive that much out of his tank. I think it was still in the same spot by the time I came back home, but I stopped. Again, this is just my nature. I stopped and I put gas in his tank. And so he has more gas now than when I took it. Because I didn't know how much it was going to take to fill up his tank. And I know his car is much smaller than my truck, so I didn't think it was going to take that much money. But anyway, put gas in his tank and unloaded the groceries, and then parked his car back in the back, put the key back, locked the car, and yeah. And so as I was sitting inside watching YouTube, I was thinking about this morning's morning motivation. I was made aware of another YouTuber through a channel that I was watching, and surprisingly, the channel that I was watching, that I'm subscribed to, has nothing to do with Christianity. The young man who hosts this particular channel is far from being Christian. But he had mentioned this young lady in one of his videos. And so I went to her channel because he was saying, she's very positive and she's very encouraging, and, he could listen to her all day, talking about the things that she's talking about. And I assumed it was something Christian or biblically based because of the things that he was saying. So when I went to go check out her channel, yes, she is a Christian, but she's also a therapist. And so she does these morning motivations to help women overcome trauma and things in their past, and, depression and all of those kind of things. And so I've been getting a lot out of her morning motivations. And today's topic, she was talking about God being our helper. And so I was thinking on that in relationship to everything that transpired today, because like I said, God always provides for me. I'm not concerned about this situation or any other, because I know my history and the track record that God has always had with me. And so I was thinking about her teaching this morning, and then this scripture came up in my mind, and I had to go look it up. It's in Psalms, but it says, when a man's ways pleases God, he'll make even your enemies be at peace with you. And I thought about that in relationship to my landlord. Because all this time, like I said, when he was trying to be the nastiest, the most vindictive, the most hateful person, and everybody was telling me, oh, I would do this and I would do that. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep on being who I was when I met him, who I've always presented myself to be. And I'm going to let God deal with him. And like I said, over the last couple of years, I don't know what happened, but for some reason, his whole tone has changed. His whole facial expression, his whole demeanor towards me has just completely changed. Now, I haven't changed. I haven't done anything different, but he's changed. And that scripture came up in my mind. And I was like, wow, look at God. Look at God. So I encourage all of you who are listening. The Bible also says, don't get weary in well-doing. Meaning, don't get tired. Don't give up, doing those things that are right to do. Treating people right. Doing, having integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's around, nobody's looking, simply because it's the right thing to do. Don't don't get weary, don't faint in doing that. You know, a lot of times we look at the world and we're like, man, this person or that person is so evil, they're so wicked, or they're so corrupt, and but they seem to be prospering. Seems like they're getting everything in life. They got the nice house and the fancy cars and the this and the that, and they getting the promotions and all of that, and I'm trying to do the right things, and I just seem to be struggling. There always seems to be something. Don't God says don't get weary in your well-doing, because if you don't, you're going to reap a reward. And see, God's rewards are greater than any man could give you. Anything you could fathom or try to earn in your own merit. God's rewards are greater than anything we could think of or imagine for ourselves. And so those are the kind of rewards that I want. God says he'll prepare a table in the face of your enemies. In the face of your enemies. He'll prepare a place for you, a table, a party in front of your enemies as a reward that you are his because of your obedience to his word and his ways and his spirit. Yeah. And so I thank God for that. I thank God for that. I thought about that just as I was sitting watching a YouTube video, and I was just kind of pondering on how everything played out today, how everything just kind of fell into place. I went to school just to practice my driving, and then Jim tells me that the guy will be there. So if I went today, he'll take care of me. Now, if any other examiner tried to get me in the system today, they couldn't. They could not do it. But this guy specifically positioned himself so that he could get me in the system today so that he can go ahead and test me next Thursday. Now, I'm supposed to be leaving that following week, going out to my orientation and starting my training. So the timing is perfect with him doing that, because we were uncertain as to when we were going to be able to test. Because if I'm paying for the test to be reinstated on the 18th, then the testing would have to come sometime after that, probably that following week, which would give me a very short window of time to prepare for orientation. So it was perfect that he made himself available to do this on today. And then the next event, is my landlord saying to me, just take my car. You trust me like that? I mean, not that he shouldn't, but, considering all that has transpired, you gonna let me just take your car? I was blown back, quite honestly. And so in that, him allowing me to take his car, again, that was an opportunity for me to stock up on some things, knowing that I don't have regular transportation right now. It's not that I needed a whole lot, but I did need a few things. I needed some butter and some lettuce and things like that. But the staples I have tons of food, so I'm not going to starve. Food and water and all of that. But I just needed some of the things that you just kind of go through on a daily. And so I'm like, okay, well, I have this vehicle. Let me go ahead and get those things. And so I appreciate that he allowed me to do that, have access to his vehicle so that I can take care of the things that I needed to take care of. But like I said, I started pondering today's events. And I'm thinking back on our past history. And I'm like, he's starting to repair things around here, which was something he wasn't doing. Yeah, and like I say, his whole demeanor, his whole attitude has just shifted. Like I said, I haven't done anything different. I've continued to be me throughout all of it. He has no idea that I'm planning on leaving soon. But regardless, the time that I'm here, I'm hoping this will be a smooth transition. No drama, no issues. But yeah, I just wanted to come and share that with you guys and encourage you not to allow different situations, or when you come across people that are cheating the system and doing all kinds of wrong and evil and underhanded stuff, while you're trying to be one who does the right things, and it seems like sometimes you can't win, but all of the people around you who are corrupt, who aren't don't treat people right, they seem to be winning. They seem to have an advantage somehow. Trust God. Trust God. Trust his word. Trust everything he says about doing the right things, being in right relationship with him, being obedient to his word, because in the end you will reap a reward. God takes care of his own. He absolutely does that, and nobody can convince me otherwise, because like I said, he's done it for me time after time after time. I could tell you countless stories of things that he's done, doors that he's opened for me, ways that he made that I'm scratching my head and I don't know how the heck, I'm gonna work this out. He's done it. He's done it. And it's because of my faithfulness. It's because I'm leaning and depending and trusting on him. It's because I'm, walking in right standing with him. My ways are pleasing him. And so, yeah. And I'm not saying that arrogantly. I'm not saying that in an uppity manner. I'm not perfect by any means. Trust that. But yeah, it is my desire to live according to his word, to be pleasing to him, and to be obedient to the things that he commands of me, that he requests of me, that he desires of me. Yes, Lord, and amen. What do I do? What do you need me to do? Yeah. Yes, indeedy. So I just wanted to come and share that with you guys and encourage